welcome to my channel. Welcome. I'm so glad that you've joined me. We will be talking a little bit about cross stitch as well as some other things that have been happening. You have to see. First of all, I would like to welcome you. I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the picture right now. It's a little whited out in my view, but that's the Columbia River. I am up on the historic Columbia River Highway. You may hear cars go by. It's the most private spot I could find to do this. This is looking west towards eventually far enough you'd go towards Portland. All the other areas that you would stop and look at places that look east that are really pretty are either full-blown sun, which is going to wash me out, or usually there's just way too many people. It's a little hard to film. So this is what we get. It's still pretty. This is the first time I've come up here this year. It's been closed. The part of the highway, this historic highway, has been closed because of COVID. They don't want people gathering in spots. So all this area that has all the waterfalls and the pretty little hiking areas, you couldn't get to. But it's open now. There's a few spots that are still closed, but most of them are open, which has been really nice. So I've been able to walk around and hike and whatnot. This highway was the main thoroughfare through here when it was built because they did not have I-84 built at that time. So it runs parallel to I-84 at times, and then it winds up and over these steep, where the cliffs are for the gorge. It winds up and around, and I have a shot of, it's called the Vista House. Just beautiful up there. So now it's just used for tourists primarily to drive around on, and it's gorgeous. I'm so blessed to live in the Pacific Northwest and in this area here. Getting on to, kind of stitching related. Acorns and Threads had a spring retreat that they had to do online, basically, like most retreats that are happening. And it was a Jeanette Douglas class. And in their little goodie bags that they got, all the goodie things that you get when you go to a retreat, Acorns and Threads had consigned me to make project bags that they gave out. So one of the ladies who attended, sorry, a bunch of motorcycles just went by. One of the ladies that attended found out, how to contact me, and is asking me to make her several bags. And the fun thing is, before she got the bag, she had seen them before and she knew what they were. And she always thought, why would anybody want those or use them or, whatever. Well, she knows now because she really likes them. So she is asked me to make her several. And the reason I wanted to point it out, as well as the fact that I find it kind of funny, is some people probably still have the same mindset as her, is why would people use these? But also that she's having them customized. So she told me what kind of fabric, what kind of look she wanted. So it wasn't something that I already had made and was selling on my Instagram site. And I wanted to point that out because that is something that I can do. So it's not that you have to just buy what's on the Instagram site. Okay, just contact me and we will get hooked up and find out what it is that you would like. So just thought I'd point that out in case you were thinking I couldn't do it or worried, I really don't want to bother her and I don't want to have to do that. You can. Please bother me. Let's see. Something else that I learned recently from several different people is that I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know how many, but I mean, when I'm hearing it from more than one person, I'm realizing there might be something going to this. The people do not either know how to direct message on Instagram or really navigate it that well. So I'm going to slip in a little tutorial here about how to do those things. We are now going to talk about the direct message and kind of looking through or navigating through Instagram. So I have borrowed my son. Isn't that lovely? I borrowed his phone. I don't know. He says there's more to it than the picture. Whatever. So he's got the Instagram icon on here. You can't see it very well, but pops up, and then you can see it's got some pictures of what people have posted that he's following. We all know that. When you're on the home page, which is the little house button, okay? So if you went into your own settings, this is in settings, you would see all the people that you're following, okay? When you do this, up in this corner, you do not see the little airplane, I call it the paper airplane arrow. So you have to go back onto, I don't know if it's going to show it very well, the little house. You have to click on the house again, okay? And then up in the corner, you see the little paper airplane arrow. Yeah. So this is direct messaging, and you click on that. It's going to come up with a list of people, and you can either, if you've already direct messaged them before, you can click on that. If not, you have to put it in the search engine up here. So if I hit search, then I can type the name up here of who I want to send a direct message to. So let's put, I started putting my name in. You can put either the person's name, their real name, or their Instagram name. So I started putting my name because my Instagram name actually starts with my name. So I've got my name up here, and then it popped up right here. I know it's a little blurry. Okay, so I would click on that, and now I can start typing. Down here, you got your little message box. You would start typing a message. When you do this, that is the only person who's going to see this message. It's not like, so I'll go back. This is our normal home page. It's not like the comments that you would see under their post. It's not going to be like that where everybody would see it. Direct message means only that person will see it. Okay. All right. So now if you want to navigate, look through, kind of however you want to say this, somebody's account. So if you're following them, if you've already followed them, if they have a private account and they've let you follow them, you should be able to get to see all of their pictures. So I'm on the home page again still. I am going to click on the little magnifier. Let me see right there. And it comes up with all this stuff. But then at the top, you've got your search engine again. It's not going to show up. So I'm going to click on that, and then I can type in who it is I'm looking for. Now, here I'm already listed. So if I click on that, it's going to come up to my page. Shows you all the pictures, and I can keep scrolling through everything that I've done, that I've posted, and that's how you're going to see those. Now, in some cases, like the kind of more recent posts that I've done, I've got to find it here. I have started, so this is a different account. I have two accounts. I have the Bags by Wendy, which I've talked about, and I have the Wendy in Neverland. The Bags by Wendy is the site that I use to sell items. So I'm going to type that in and see if we can get that to come up. And this is under the search engine again. Oops. Okay. So there's the list. It comes right up. I don't have a picture for that site, so it just shows up like that. But if I click on that, it's going to pop up with all the pictures just like my other account did. Okay. So let me see if it shows a difference. I don't know if I have anything. Yep. So this picture right here, if I pop that up, These are needle minders. This is the only picture I have for this post. If you notice, if it's got a little box with multiple boxes, so we'll scroll down here and oops, this one does not have that. It does not have that little box like this right here. If it doesn't, that means that's the only picture. If it's got that, that means there's multiple pictures for that particular post. So it may be that I'm just showing you different angles of something. But in the example of the cards that I've done, so we'll click on that. So there's one card. And if you, let me try to do this with my, if I scroll through, sorry, I'm trying to do this. Scroll through, I will see all the pictures on that post and all the cards I've listed on that post. Okay, and that's 10. The most you can put on one post is 10 pictures. So that is how you would get to somebody's site and to navigate through what they have posted, just in case you don't know how to do this. If you want to get out, you can either do your back arrow. There's also the little home button. You can always click on the home button and it's going to take you right back to your post that people are feeding into your what you're following. Okay, so get familiar with how these how these things at the bottom work. The little heart is going to be whenever somebody sends, taps the heart on a picture or post that you've done, or sends you a little message that everybody can see, the comments. The little plus is meaning you're going to add something to your account that everybody's going to see. You've got this, you're going to look people up. Obviously you can, and here you can do a direct message for a picture that you see right away. Let me see if I can get that to show up a little better. Okay, so down here, you can either do the heart, you can do the little thing where you can leave a comment, and then that is your same as this up here, okay? So if you want to do a direct message about that picture, you can. If that person hasn't posted something and you want to do a direct message, you can do it through that button there. You just have to find that person once you click on it or do a search for that person. Okay, I'm hoping that that wasn't too complicated, that you got all that, and that now if you do follow me and you were confused about how some of that worked, you'll be able to find all those things. I'm gonna get into some stitching stuff now. So I was kind of talking about the bags, which is kind of stitching related, but this is totally stitching related. I finished one project and I have started, well, I'm in 7 days of working on the next one, which is the next, the project I would work on for 10 days. So I'm going to insert a video because it's a little hard to have that out here and trying to do that as well. It was bad enough just having somewhere where I could just talk to you, let alone pull things out and show it to you. So I will insert that here, and as well as showing you the stitching things, I have a book recommendation. So I will talk to you about that at the same time. I think I got too much sun today. Anyway, we're going to get into the whips and the book review. As promised, the first one is an actual finish, and that was the Hickety Pickety. So there's that one. I always forget to mention these things, but it's Brenda Gervais. I'm pretty sure I used all the called for color. And I know I talked about the pumpkins last time, how, I mean, in this picture you can see a difference in the different pumpkins and the different shades, but in the stuff I had, it was not that noticeable. So this is, let me put something behind it so you can see it a little better. This is my finish. Get a little closer. I love all the little white chickens, whether they're baby chickens or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it's really cute. It is much more of that softer colors, softer looks. but so cute. The only thing I did different when I was stitching it is that anytime there's chicken feed down here or the berries up here, is that the pattern called for 1 thread over 2. I used 2 over 2 in those cases because they're just one individual stitch, 1X in most cases there. And I wanted them to, well, not only show up, but I wanted them to pop a little bit because, you know, chicken feed and berries are going to be a little bumpy. So it's okay that they are like that. And I kind of like it like that, especially with the chicken feed hardly showing up. It's really nice having it where it's popping a little bit more even. So all finished. I don't have exact plans what I'm going to do with it, but I'll get there. I'll get it figured out. The next thing, and this is what I have moved on to after I finished Hickety Pickety, was Autumn in the Country. And this is the Just Nan series. I've already worked on 2 of them. This is the 3rd one that I picked up again. When I have winter still, I will get to that as we get closer to winter and whatnot. When I had done this in January, I had done the trees and the grass, almost all of the grass. And I think that was it. I think that's all I did because I don't have a before picture. So those are the things that I did beforehand. And so far, this is what I have now. So I've gotten quite a bit done. The crows are part of the border. I'll show you again. You can see they sit amongst the border. So I have already stitched those parts. I still have, including today, 3 days in which I can stitch on this, and so I will be moving into the border. The only thing on the inside part that I have not stitched is there is a spider that's hanging down from the date. And I'm waiting on the date because I don't know if I'm going to put the finish date, like the year. I don't know if I'm going to put the finish year or if I'm going to put like this year. So I'm waiting to do the spider all at the same time because I think it's all the same thread. I think it's 310. And if it's all the same, I prefer to keep them together. So I'll show you some close-up things. The scarecrows, like feet and hands, have that straw look to them hanging out. I love these grapes in the vine. Those are all Smyrna stitches. They're not X's, just plain X's. They are Smyrna. I don't know how close I can get without it unfocusing. But they're, trust me, that's what they are. So it's really cute. I love, you know, got the kitty and this crow. Both of those are 1 over 1. Everything else is over 2. So yeah, it's coming along. Getting there. I think the oak leaves in here are going to look really cool, as well as the acorns that go with it. I think this is going to be a hard one to put down, tell you the truth. I don't know. So yeah, as always, I don't know what I'll work on once I finish that. And so in 3 days, I'll be picking up one of those that I started in January again. We'll just have to wait and see. We're getting down there. There's not, you know, I mean, we're September, October, November, December. We've got 4 months left. 4 months worth of patterns that I started in January. So that equals to approximately 12. I haven't gone back and counted if I'm on track, if there really is about 12 left to do, or if there's a little less, or I don't know. All right. So I'm also going to talk to you about a book that I am going to recommend, and it is called Orphan Train. And Catherine Baker Klein is the author. So this is a fiction, but it's based on true things, true history, basically. So there really were orphan trains. I think it was started in the late 1800s, and I think around 1924 or so is when they stopped doing them. So obviously you may have orphans, or back in that time, if you had either a kid had lost one family or one parent, or they had lost both parents, they could be given as a ward of the state. So if you, for example, if the mother died and the father was left and he didn't feel like he could take care of them, then he would just give them to the state, be a ward of the state. And they were still considered orphans at that time. So this is primarily on the East Coast. This one takes place where they start off from New York City. So I don't know what other cities they would have started off from. I'm guessing it's going to be more that northeast section, where they were big cities like New York, and then in Boston, and all those kinds of places where you had a lot of people coming in from other countries, going through Ellis Island, etc. And so these kids that were considered orphans that the state was taking care of, and they would go out and find kids that were living on the street and bring them in to the orphanages, and then they would be part of these orphan trains as well. They would gather up, it varied from time to time. I don't think it was the same consistent number all the time. They would, I think in the story here, there was probably only about 15 kids on the train, maybe a little more. I don't remember exactly. I have seen actual photograph pictures where it seemed like there was closer to 40 or more kids. In this story, they only had 2 chaperones with them when they traveled. I don't know with the bigger parties if they would have more. I think they tended to not have as many chaperones as we would think is more appropriate. So I don't know. But then they would travel on these trains. Usually they did not stop until they reached the Midwest. In this in this book, they stopped in Minneapolis. There are kids who went to Nebraska and probably the Dakotas. So they went to a lot of different places in the Midwest. So they would get to their destination. They would get off the train, and they would go to whatever designated place that they had already planned ahead. So if it was a Grange Hall, a church, whatever. And they would get them up in the front, whether on a stage or whatever, and line them all up. And anybody, because they had flyers out in that city beforehand saying that the train was coming, anybody who's interested would come, and if they saw a kid that they liked, all they had to do was go sign a piece of paper, and off they went with them. They took them. That was all they did. The videos that I've seen of real orphans from the orphan train, I haven't seen a lot, but I've seen a few. And they all said they had great lives, and they had wonderful lives. And I'm not deluded enough to think that was the case for everybody, or maybe even not majority of them. I don't know. The way that they portrayed it in the story is that they did not have the greatest of lives to begin with. They may have had to have really, really hard times and eventually get to a place where somebody was compassionate enough to help them or take care of them. So I'm a big I love history, historical fiction especially, because they're putting a little bit of the truth into what happened. I never knew anything about these orphan trains. I didn't know they existed. So that was kind of a nice little thing to learn about, that in our history, this is what they did. So yeah, if you want to give it a read, it's good. It's not terribly long. They have pictures in the back. Okay, I'll show you a picture here. So you can see, look at all those kids. That's probably more than 40. So they got pictures of the back of some of these kids, and then talking about some actual, like what happened with certain people, certain kids. So the whole book is only 280 pages. It's not bad. It's a quick read. It doesn't take too long, and then I got sucked into it, so I didn't want to put it down. But yeah, if you want to give that a read, Christina Baker Klein, remember that's her, the author. So yeah, so there we go. Hope you enjoyed that recommendation and the whips that I had. I recently ordered 2 patterns. By recent, I mean just within the last couple of days. So those haven't got here. I can't show you those yet. Hopefully they'll be here by the time I do another video and then I can show you that. So, some outside projects. Y'all know that that's what I do. That's my jam. When it's summertime, I'm outside a lot and I'm getting a lot accomplished in my yard, around my house, whatever. Well, these last 2 weeks is no different. I have been working outside. So here's a quick little video about the one project I was working on. Here's what I've been up to lately. Got the side pavers in for the side of our house next to the driveway. Didn't really want to have gravel all the way to the edge of the flower area next to the house, so I put these pavers in. It's just a little nicer to walk on and more stable. And like we have to roll our garbage cans past here, so it's nicer to have that on something a little more solid than the gravel. Even though gravel is better, because I've also put in more of the gravel for our yard, or our driveway, I mean, and took out the pea gravel. So, yeah. Still have a little bit more of the driveway part to finish. It's not completely done. And then I have a little bit here of this walkway that I need to extend it to. And down at the other end, I'm not really going past that point because I want to have a walkway from that end all the way towards the front of the house. But I'm going to use different pavers. I'm not going to use these for that part of it. I will find some that I'm going to match to go from the street to our front door. So there's a sidewalk out there, and our little paver sidewalk to the front door is in horrid condition and needs to be replaced desperately bad. It's crumbling and falling apart. So as soon as I figure out what I'm going to use for those, I will put that in this mess of an area right in here, and things will be shaping up. I still have that mess to deal with, and I don't know. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do yet. But that's pretty typical of me, because I usually wait and figure out what I'm going to do as time goes by. So that's what I've been doing. I am also, I don't think I'm actually going to start working on it, but I might start buying some of the supplies for it. Those pavers that I used for the side, the walkway, are 16 by 16. They're big and they're heavy. They're like 43 pounds, so they're not light by any means. They're a nice big size. I liked them. They're flat, and I think I'm going to get some to do a patio in my backyard, because I've been hemming and hawing about what kind of material I wanted to use to create this patio. I really like the textured look, but the problem is when you stick a chair on it, it may not sit level, and then you're kind of got one leg that's a little wonky and you're rocking around. So I think I am going to stay with the flatter pavers like that. I got those at Lowe's, and when I went and got the first, I got like 12 of them the first time, because all I had was my little car, so I needed to get bags of sand and some pavers, and I wanted, that was all I could fit in my car. The only ones they had were the colors that I got, which I'm okay with, because I kind of want it to match or be close to the gravel, so it's not this huge drastic difference. I'm going to look into possibly staining it a little bit more, those pavers. So maybe add a little bit more darker gray, almost like a spongy kind of look to it. Give it a little bit more texture depth look. I don't know yet. But when I went back to get some more of those pavers, I noticed that they had two others that were the exact same size and the flat surface in different colors. I think there was a black and a little bit more of auburn, no, not auburn, a rusty kind of color, a little more brown than the gray and tannish colors that were in the pavers I used on this side of the driveway. So I need to look at those a little more closely because I just happened to glance at them because they're right next to the ones I was getting. So I will look at them a little bit more and decide, and I might actually get those and then actually work on the project next summer. I don't know. I don't want them to disappear if that's really what I want. So that's why I might get them now. I just don't know. It's all still kind of up in the air, but I'm kind of happy that I actually think I know what I want for the patio. That's one step closer. All right, kids stuff. We all know that, you just never stop being a parent. Even if they're grown and out of the house, you never stop being a parent and either worrying about them or helping them or whatever. They may be out of the house, but that doesn't mean anything sometimes. So I have a daughter who's, I believe, 24 now. Hopefully I'm correct. She's had several different jobs. She hasn't really stated anything for a really long time. She's just not found her fit. Plus, she's always tried to find something that would work well with her theater schedule. So she likes to do, in school she did theater, and she likes to do community theater. Now, I mean, you can't do it with COVID going on, but before that she was doing that. So trying to find a job that would work with that kind of schedule is a little hard. But she's not happy where she's at right now. So she has been wanting to try and change and find a new job. My son, 20 years old, he just turned 20 on the 17th of August. He graduated just over a year ago. So not here in 2020, but in 2019. And I don't know how well he has looked for a job. We have been after him the whole time, but we're not sure how much he's really followed through and done what he needs to do and applied. And, sometimes you have to check back with people and find out how it's going. So he applied to a independent living, like retirement facility. It's actually the place that, there goes the helicopter. It's actually the place that his grandmother, my mother-in-law, lives at. And he applied for a server job. So working in the dining room, taking the orders from them and bringing them out and all that kind of stuff. And he got an interview, and it was actually on his birthday. That's when they did the interview. And at the interview, they actually hired him that day while he was there. So, yay, he got a job. So happy. He seems to like it as well. That's another good benefit, a plus, because he's a very anxious, kind of worried about the unknown kind of kid, and probably even more so than normal. I mean, it almost petrifies him to not know what to do and what if. So this has been good. This has worked out real well. He likes it. And so I am just over the moon that he's got something and he likes. My daughter, getting back to her, while my son was looking at applying for this server position, we saw a posting at the same facility that was for, they called it the concierge, which basically is the front desk, the receptionist, whatever you want to call it. So there's a bunch of other things you do, like you deal with the mail, you deal with faxing, computer work, as well as maybe some things the residents need you to do or need help with. So that was open, and it was still open like a week or so later. As far as we could tell, it was still open. So I mentioned that to my daughter and said, why don't you apply for that? So she did, and they called her and set up an interview. But unfortunately, a manager, I'm not sure exactly what manager she manages things with, but um, the one who interviewed her seemed so not prepared and just unorganized, which we have talked with her and she seems like she's got it together, but for this particular interview, she did not. So she couldn't find my daughter's resume. She didn't know what days or hours the job was going to be for. It was very disappointing and disheartening. So she was only at the interview for about 15 minutes and just didn't know how things were going to go and how, it was left and all that kind of stuff. Well, about 3 days later, they sent her an email saying they wanted to do another interview, and this time they wanted the executive director to do it. He wasn't available the first time she came in. So she went in, and she was there a long time, so it took us a while to find out what happened. So, she's going in thinking she's interviewing for this concierge position. And I don't know at what point in the interview they asked her, would you be willing or interested in being a server? I think she was just about willing to take anything compared to the job she was doing now. She was willing to get away from it. So she said yes, and they offered her a job there as well. So they gave her an acceptance letter. It's full-time for her. My son's position is listed as part-time. So we don't know what full-time means. She didn't ask, so we're not sure how many hours that actually equates to. The only bad thing is that she lives where she doesn't have a car, so she has to take a bus, and she lives, it's not, like if I were to drive, it would take about 25 minutes to get there from her house. But when you're taking buses, it takes much longer, and she has to take 2 different buses because she has to transfer. So it's not the best, but she's making more money than where she's at now, and I think she's going to like it a lot better. I think she's going to be much happier. So she doesn't start till next week. So hopefully everything will go well for her too, and that she'll like it, and maybe even get the transportation thing, figured out so it's a little easier for her. Things are kind of coming together with my kids finally, I hope. So because I am at the gorge and enjoying the beautiful view, I went to some of those waterfalls, and I actually did some hiking. Hiking really isn't the best of terms. It's more like walking, because even though there was some hills, the trail wasn't very long that I went on. There were some that I could go to that were longer, but you're also limited in parking spaces. So there was one place I wanted to stop and I couldn't because the parking spots were all full. There is another one that had a trail. You could go up to a second waterfall, but it's pretty steep, and I can't remember how far it is. But also I wanted to be able to go farther because I have on that particular trail, but that one's closed up at that second waterfall, and not because of COVID, but because of the fire, the Eagle Creek fire they had here a couple years ago. It's still not safe enough to be in those particular areas. It's a big area that they've closed down too. So I did more walking than hiking. The other area that I wasn't able to go to, I probably could have if I'd put a little effort into it, but Multnomah Falls, you may or may not have heard of that. I don't know. It's a really big, really tall waterfall. And normally on any other year or whatever, you could come out and visit it. Now, I think it's gotten more and more popular in the last few years. So normally there's 2 parking areas. There's one along the old highway, but that fills up really fast and it's not very big. And the second parking lot is off of I-84. So you actually exit off of it, and there's another parking area over there. That has also been getting full, and it's a pretty big parking lot, but it's been getting full, and they've got those signs over the freeway that say if you want to go there, you have to exit at this particular exit and take a shuttle. So it's been filling up, but with the COVID and everything, that was one of the areas they had shut off for that. They have reopened it, but you can't park in the historic highway part at all. I think the only people who were allowed to park there were employees. And the I-84 section, you could get off and park there, but now they're requiring you to get a ticket to go to the falls. Now, I don't know if the ticket costs anything. This is why I just didn't go into all this, because I didn't really want to. You have to get a ticket. So like I said, this was all free before. So I'm hoping the tickets were just for a matter of counting how many people would be there at a time. So you had to get that in order to go. So basically all I could do is drive by. And I did drive by, and I did get a quick little video of those falls. So along with that one and some of the other walks that I went on, and some of the viewpoints, I will show you those videos here at the end. So I will end here and show you those videos, and that will kind of what I leave it off on, and hope you all have a good week. See you next time. Bye.
Jamendo.com 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 Jamendo.com